let's be real. It's the question that sits in the back of your mind, the one that probably haunts a lot of couples in the lifestyle. You build this amazing, exciting dynamic, but there's always that little whisper of doubt, isn't there? Well, today, we're not just going to whisper about it. We're going to tackle it head on.
Yep, that question. Look, this isn't just some random paranoia. It's one of the most common, most deeply rooted fears in this entire dynamic. So, over the next few minutes, we're going to pull apart the reality behind that fear, not to scare you, but to actually arm you with some real understanding. Okay, so let's just get right to the numbers. When you look at analysis from lifestyle communities and you talk to counselors who specialize in this, the estimate is that somewhere between 18 and 25% of hot-wife relationships end because a strong attachment forms with an outside partner. Now, that is not a majority, not even close. But it's a big enough number that you absolutely have to understand why it happens. But honestly, that number isn't the real story. The real story, the part that actually matters for protecting your own relationship, is getting to the why. It's all about recognizing the patterns, the psychology, and all those hidden dynamics that can lead to that kind of outcome. This right here, this quote, gets to the absolute heart of our entire explainer. In the huge majority of cases, the bull, the outside relationship, he isn't the one who started the fire. He's the gasoline that got poured on embers that were already smoldering. The lifestyle itself becomes this incredibly powerful magnifying glass on the health or the sickness of the marriage.
All right, so let's get into what's happening under the hood, inside the brain. Because here's the thing, your brain doesn't really care about your relationship rules or agreements. It's running on a very old, very powerful operating system, and that's pure chemistry.
See, every time your wife is with a bull, her brain is getting these little hits of powerful chemicals. You've got oxytocin, which creates feelings of trust and bonding. You've got dopamine, which rewards the behavior and makes her brain go, yes, do that again. These are automatic, biological things that create connections on a neural level, and they happen completely separate from any conscious intention or rules. Now, let's add another layer to this chemical cocktail: new relationship energy, or NRE. It's that euphoric, almost obsessive feeling you get at the start of a new connection. It literally floods the brain with feel-good chemicals, making the new person seem absolutely perfect and, frankly, messing with your judgment. For a long-term partner with all the day-to-day realities of life, it can feel almost impossible to compete with that kind of chemical high. And this is where things can get really tricky. If that NRE is left to run wild, it can morph into its much more dangerous cousin, limerence. Now, this isn't just excitement anymore. This is a state of obsessive, intrusive fixation. It feels less like a simple crush and more like your brain's entire reward system has been hijacked, with that other person as the one and only target. So it's absolutely critical to understand the difference here. Think of it like this. NRE is a common, often really fun part of new connections that you can manage. Limerence, on the other hand, is a psychological state that can feel completely out of control, like you're not in the driver's seat anymore. Knowing which one you're dealing with is the first step to getting a handle on it. So with all that brain chemistry buzzing around, how does this actually play out in the real world? I want you to think of the lifestyle not as the problem, but as a kind of diagnostic tool, like a relationship X-ray that suddenly reveals all the tiny hairline fractures you never even knew were there. And this gets to one of the biggest psychological traps of them all. Your wife sees her bull in this perfect, curated fantasy bubble. He's all charm, all excitement, all sex. But she sees her husband in the full, unedited reality of a shared life, the bills, the chores, the bad moods. The bull is a cookie, a sweet, exciting treat. The husband is an apple, part of the daily necessary diet. The comparison is totally unfair, but on a chemical and emotional level, it can feel incredibly true. So how does the end actually happen? Well, it's almost never a sudden thing. Usually it follows one of three common patterns. First, you've got the slow drift. That's where emotional boundaries just slowly erode over time until one day she realizes she's more connected to him than to you. Second is the rescue fantasy, where an already unhappy partner basically uses the bull as an escape hatch. And finally, there's the genuine connection. It's the rarest, but it happens. Two people just fall in love despite all the best intentions. Okay, so hearing all of this isn't meant to freak you out. The whole point of understanding the risks is so you can build a defense against them. Success in this lifestyle isn't about luck, it's about having a strategy. So think of this next section as your relationship's insurance policy, the toolkit you need to protect your primary connection. Before we jump into the strategies, though, you've got to know what to look for.
right? What are those early warning signs, those little indicators that the emotional ground is shifting underneath you? Paying attention here is your absolute first line of defense.
So here are 5 of the most critical red flags. A sudden obsession with phone privacy. Her pulling away from you emotionally, creating distance. Getting really defensive if you try to bring up any concerns about the bowl. Pushing to bend or just break the rules you both agreed on. And a really big one, making you feel like you're in a competition that you just can't win. Honestly, any single one of these is enough to warrant a serious, immediate conversation.
And above all else, please remember this. Your intuition, that feeling in your gut that something is just off, that's not paranoia. That's your subconscious mind processing thousands of tiny little data points that you haven't consciously registered yet. It is valuable data. Do not ignore it.
So what do you actually do? Well, the playbook is pretty clear. Number 1, you have to stay her number 1, emotionally and sexually. Don't outsource your role as her primary partner. Number 2, enforce the boundaries you both set. They're not there to limit fun. They're there to protect the marriage. 3, schedule regular, brutally honest check-ins, like an audit of your relationship's health. 4, think about rotating partners to stop a deep attachment from taking root. And finally, the golden rule. The marriage always, always comes first.
And all of this really builds to our final and most crucial concept. The lifestyle itself isn't inherently good or bad. It's not constructive or destructive. What it is an amplifier. It takes whatever is already present in your relationship and just turns the volume way, way up.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly, the 2 paths you can go down. On one side, you've got the couples who thrive. They are ruthless about prioritizing their marriage, they actively invest in their connection, and they don't run from the hard conversations. On the other side, you've got the relationships that implode, and they do the exact opposite. The lifestyle becomes the priority, the main relationship is just left on autopilot, and they avoid difficult topics until it's way too late.
And that leaves us right here with this final thought. This lifestyle will put your relationship under a microscope. If your connection is strong, it can become even stronger. If it's weak, it can absolutely shatter. The number one takeaway from everything we've looked at is that success hinges on one thing: understanding that the primary relationship isn't just a priority, it has to be the only priority. The second that stops being true, you're in very dangerous territory.